Awesome. There it is. Yeah, awesome. Hey, welcome to 1 Million Cups, everybody. Raise your hand if it's your first time. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Luke, and I'm a community organizer, as well as these other amazing people behind me. 1 Million Cups is a community organization where two entrepreneurs or business stand up for 6 minutes, talk to you guys. We open it up to the expert panel for questions, and then we take questions from the crowd. That being said, let's introduce the expert panel. Whenever you're ready, Jeff.
Delay? There we go. All right, I'm not Jeff. My name is Matt Dantzler. Jeff is coming up soon. And I'm actually the president of TSC Sales Coaching and Consulting. We do sales coaching, and we accomplish in months what sales training companies usually accomplish in years.
And I am Jeff. Jeff Shackelford, director for the Digital Sandbox KC, an early stage proof of concept program to help very early stage entrepreneurs move from idea to get in business.
And also make sure that we're starting to brag about ourselves, right? Kansas City.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to introduce our first presenter, Lance, with the Miles app. Or just Miles. Let's hear it for Lance.
All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Awesome. All right, by show of hands, how many of you drove here today? Put your hands up. Just about everybody except for this section over here. All right, by show of hands, how many of you also kept a mileage log of that trip this morning to make sure that you can deduct that expense on your taxes? 1, 2, 3, 4. Much lower number. And that's a problem. And my name is Lance Winhals. I'm the general manager of Black Ops Development. We're a local software development company. And I'm also a serial entrepreneur. So by night, I've started a sunglass brand. I've started a t-shirt brand. I've built an Android mobile app and Miles. Best of all, if any of those aren't going well, I can always roll into my liquor store and find my next drink. So as you can imagine, with all that going on, I tend to get around a little bit. Not in that way. The average American gets around to the tune of 18,000 miles in a single year. Sometimes they do. Hold on. You know what they say, anytime you do a demo. All right, there we go. So the average American drives about 18,000 miles in a year, and about 40% of that is for business purposes. If you do the math, that's an over $4,000 taxable deduction that they could be taking at the end of the year if they keep a mileage log. Now, I, like many of you a year ago, did not keep a mileage log, and the reason for that is because it is a pain in the ass. It is the worst thing to do. It's up there with helping a friend move or having to sit next to Grant Gooding at one of these events. And because it's so difficult to do, a lot of people, because it's so difficult, it is also one of the most acceptable items to audit. And with the freelance market growing every year and estimated to hit 78 million people, more and more people are going to be using this tax deduction and being under the eye of the IRS. Because of this, I built Miles. Miles is a mobile app that automatically tracks your travel through the day and adds it to a mileage log so that you can categorize at your convenience. And when I say automatically, I mean it. All of the tracking is done using passive background processes on your phone. You never have to open the app. You simply go about your day, worry about what's important, and Miles will track your drives and allow you to categorize those at your convenience. If you don't open the app for an entire week, it doesn't matter. All those trips will be neatly organized for you to categorize at your convenience. And categorization is really simple. You either click a button if it was for business or swipe it away if it wasn't. By tracking all this information, you now have detailed reports that you can use for reimbursement from your clients or export and give to your accountant at the end of the year. With Miles, we're really focused on automating every aspect of your day. So if you look up here at this last screen, it's one of my favorite features. It's called work hours. And what that does is it allows you to set the time period of the day that you're traveling for business. Any trip that falls outside of that, we automatically archive for you. So if you don't travel for work during the weekends, you can set those days to auto-archive and never have to deal with categorizing a trip during that period of time. So our business model is really simple. Miles is available on both the App Store and the Google Play Store. You get 14-day free trial, and then after that, it's a $4.99 a month subscription, or you can buy the annual plan. The best part is your subscription is also a tax deduction. And logging just an 11-mile trip pays for miles every single month. This business model is pretty straightforward, but what we're really excited about is our partnership model. Because Miles fits so well into the accounting world, we're partnering with small and large accounting firms to allow them to resell Miles as a product. All of those companies will then get a 20% sales commission. It's really a win-win. The accountant gets mileage reports that they're actually comfortable standing behind in the tax reports. They also get another product to sell, and the consumer gets a solution to a problem that plagues a large number of us, as we could see by the hands. So mileage tracking is a unique beast, and we've really enjoyed learning how different people drive, how they use their cars, and how they go about their business. And as we push the app into the market, we're really excited to see the feedback that we get from the community as well as our users. Thank you.
Go ahead, expert panel.
Oh, is that us? All right, Lance, pop quiz. So there's lots of resources in the city to help early stage folks. Which one's really important to you?
I was going to save you till the end, but Digital Sandbox was huge in helping us get Miles live. All of this was bootstrapped. It's an idea I've had for probably 3+ years. And as you can imagine, when you're bootstrapping and figuring it out, on the weekends and in the evenings, getting that extra help to speed it up is huge. So Digital Sandbox was huge in that, and thank you for all the help.
Perfect answer. Terrific job presenting. So how is it going in the partnership, strategic partner, getting this thing out in a way that can get high volume?
Yeah, so we're still kind of looking for some of that. When we launched, it was kind of the busy season of taxes. And so when you reach out to an accountant during that period, they tell you to just get lost unless you're giving them your money and your business. So we've been working with several in town, and we've identified one of the larger ones who's willing to work with us, and we're just figuring out some of the legality that they have as being an advisor and letting their customers know that they're getting a sales commission. But part of that is getting awareness out so we can continue to grow that partnership funnel.
Yeah, because that was going to be my second question is outside of the partnerships, how do you get eyes on this? There's so many apps out there.
Yeah, so the app is obviously available to consumers. I mean, that's how it was designed. And we've got downloads that are just generic searches through the App Store. We have downloads that are hits to our site. And people who have the problem are just naturally finding us. But our sales efforts aren't really B2C, just because that's a really tough market. It takes a lot of marketing budget, it takes a lot of time. So we're really trying to go that partnership route because it's a more one-to-one sale instead of one to million.
All right, nice job, Lance, on the presentation. Couple questions. Can you walk us through how this is working on a daily basis? So I get in my car right now, I drive to a client, what's going to happen with this app?
That's it. So you drive to your client, you get out, you have your meeting, you get back in, you drive to your next meeting and your next meeting. At any point in the day, you can open up the app and you'll see all those trips logged right there for you. So you can declare whether those are business expenses or personal and just archive them. All of this is done without you pulling your phone out. It's all done in the background process of your phone. You can organize as frequently as you want or as seldom as you want. We give you a little reminder at the end of the day that says, hey, you've got 6 to organize, jump on that. And that just builds up the longer you go without organizing.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about how you're positioning against other competitors. We use TripLog personally, and I'm just curious how you're stacking up against other competitors. There's obviously other players in this field, but also you guys put your mileage down. Your employer may reimburse you. You can definitely write it off. I'm kind of shocked to see the small amount of hands. So.
So kind of as I mentioned, because we're bootstrapped, it's taken a while to get from concept all the way into production. And during that process, there have been some competitors pop up. I think one of the things that makes us unique is that we do have this resale opportunity, which none of them currently offer. The other thing I noticed in one of the other competitors, and this was really early in our development stage, and I thought, oh, wow, I might not have to build this. Here's a solution that might work for me. And they showed 2 endpoints. And there's a saying by somebody pretty darn smart that it's not the start and it's not the end, it's the journey that matters. And so I said, if we can't show that trip and show people the path they took, it's not worth us continuing. So that was one of our first development challenges that we had to solve to see if we could compete with other competitors. And it really does help you understand the journey that you took and help you remember, oh, this is why I took that path and where I ended up. If you're like me, you forget stuff. So a lot of times my journeys start at my house and then end back at my house. So looking at that a day later and trying to figure out what the heck I was doing is difficult if you just see the 2 endpoints.
Okay, a final question. So you talked about your sales efforts are now focused on the B2B, the partnership, the resellers, essentially.
Correct.
What does that look like as far as revenue over the next couple of years, consumer versus B2B? Because ultimately it's all going to the consumer. It's just kind of a different marketing or sales channel.
Yeah.
So what does that look like the next 1-2 years going forward?
Exactly. So our focus for the immediate future is to really focus on those partnerships and hope to grow that consumer base in that format. There's a lot of intangible benefits to that as well. Right now, we're lower in SEO on the Play stores. So as we can get more people looking at our app, downloading our app, we're more likely to collect that drive-by consumer who's looking for a solution by themselves. But ultimately, our sales focus is all on partnerships and large corporations. So we're focusing on helping big entities solve the problem throughout their entire company as well.
Okay, we're going to open it up to the audience for questions. So here's one in the back.
Do you discount it if a company wants to buy 25 for their employees?
Absolutely, yep. So that's what we're focusing on too. We think it really fits well into sales and biz dev departments. And if you've got 20, 30 plus people, we can help you get set up at a corporate discount, allow all your people to have it for free essentially, and do one simple billing.
Question in the back here, Lance? Ooh, gotcha, Courtney. Gotcha, yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Does it integrate with apps like FreshBooks, or you allow exporting the data?
Yeah, so right now we have the ability to export, and within the next month, we're looking at creating API connections to 4 major accounting platforms. So QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Xero, and Concur. We think Concur is going to be huge for the big corporations, their expensing. FreshBooks is great for freelancers. QuickBooks is the most popular. And then Xero is just a very up-and-coming and great platform as well. So we'll have those in the near future as well.
Question in the center.
You may have already said this, so if you did, forgive me, but does this app give you the ability to, add in things like the client you're meeting with and the matter and things like that?
Yep, absolutely. So one of the other features, and I think this is kind of an old slide, but we've got the ability, and actually I think it might be on this one, on the animation. You can see here we've got a client button that allows you to add project, client, any tag you want. And then in the reporting section, you can filter on all those clients as well. So if you need to pull trips for reimbursement, filter by that client, export, you're set.
Hey, question in the back, Lance.
Hey, Lance, I just downloaded the app, and I got a question about it. Smart Bluetooth tracking, what is that?
Correct. So you are an Android user. So this is another one of my favorite features, but unfortunately, it's only available on Android because of what's open in that operating system. So what that does is you can set your car up if it has Bluetooth to your phone. And you can tell your phone only track trips when that Bluetooth connection is made. So the second you sit in your car, you turn it on, Bluetooth connection is made, boom, time to track. So it's a way to save battery. It's a way to kind of automate and know when you get in and out of that car. There's a lot of logic to know when am I moving? When am I at a stoplight versus arrived at my destination? When am I in traffic versus at my destination? So that's just another way for us to automate that piece and be even smarter.
Question in the center.
Thanks so much for coming to Million Cups, Lance. Appreciate it. Couple things on the Apple platform. Tried searching on miles, didn't come up.
Yep.
Accidentally put mails in. That some bunch of stuff came up for that one.
I can't speak on that one.
Okay, so it's not in the App Store right now. I also searched on some other searches. That's a major challenge that
Yep.
you got to get over, or else you're not going to have very much iOS platform downloads.
Yep, absolutely.
How have you gotten over the close process problem in iOS to get to the geodata when the app is not resident in iOS and running? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so my developers could tell you the details of that. So one of the things that we just do from a user experience is anytime you terminate the app, we give you an alert and say, hey, if this app is terminated, we can't guarantee the tracking. Even beyond that, though, we've worked around and tried to make it so that even if it is terminated, we're still tracking. And that was a huge challenge. Spent 4 or 5 months just solving that for iOS while the Android app was done. So obviously very frustrating. Technically, I couldn't speak to that. I'd have to have our developers dive more into that. But that is also one of the challenges and the reason that with Android, we can detect the Bluetooth and know when you're in a car. With iPhone, they don't allow that. So as soon as they do, we'll add that technology and that feature to it as well.
Go ahead and raise your hand. We'll come around to you. But Lance, I got a question for you. So I've known you for a little while, and I know that you're a gigantic fan of passive income. I've noticed that about you. So what is Miles in the long term? Over the next 10 years, are you going to try and raise some money, like really go after this thing? Is it another income generator? What is it for you?
That's a good question. I don't think you close the door on anything. So far, I haven't gone and tried to raise money. It probably could have got me further along. But because I had the skill set, because of Digital Sandbox, we're able to just kind of bootstrap it and make sure that it was done the way we wanted and didn't have to meet certain investor goals or you name it. Right now, I'm hoping to continue to grow it myself. It's a team of myself as well as my developers, and initiate them whenever I need more development done. But otherwise, business development, sales, all done by me. The app runs itself, it's simple. I really believe in building a product that doesn't require a lot of support, and we've done that with Miles, so it pretty much runs itself. So yeah, if it can grow into a passive income for me over the next 4 or 5 years and let it continue to do its thing. I'm a daily user, so I'm pushing as many features as our users are. And then ultimately, I think it is an opportunity to sell the technology to somebody maybe here in town that does accounting stuff and is green in color.
Cough, cough. Well, cheers to you, man. Cheers to you.
Thanks.
Question on your right.
So how does Miles use like LTE data and stuff like that? Because a lot of people I know don't have unlimited data.
Mm-hmm.
So like if the app is open, is it using more data or does it use data like at all?
So we actually use very little data. So most of the information that we're tracking are GPS points, which you don't need data to get. You can be driving across country, out in the desert, you're still going to get that GPS ping on your phone. So once the trip is over and the logic in the phone tells it that the trip's over, we send just that information up. It gets turned into a trip line and then sent back down to the phone. So it's actually very minimal.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit more about your reporting functions? Because I know one of the main reasons that you built this was because you were not happy with other products that were out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the things that really made me go down this path versus some of the other products was the fact that it's all in one. A lot of the other products, if after you organized a trip, you had to log into a desktop dashboard, you couldn't edit things. I wanted everything to be done on my phone because when I'm traveling, that's the device I have. And the other piece was to actually break down my trips by clients. It was kind of surprising to me that you couldn't do that and really search and filter on those. And as you can imagine, with a software development company, we have 5 to 7 clients at any point in time that I'm traveling to meet, in addition to my other jobs and other businesses. So the ability to keep those separate without having a different app, a different subscription, was really important to me. And that's a big reason why we built in the tagging feature and the functionality into the reporting.
Question in the middle in the back here.
Hey, this actually solves a problem that I was thinking about this morning, so that's good.
Excellent.
The challenge is, as other people point out, there are lots of these apps out there. A lot of them are free. And I've seen advertisements on television for some of them. So you're good that there's attention being drawn to it, but you got to get your name out there. But from a purchase standpoint, have you thought about a business model where people along those waypoints are actually paying you because so offer it to me for free as a consumer if I'll share my data, and then be able to go and say, hey, we know that this many people are driving by your coffee shop, blah, that you could advertise to them real time, drop in, save 25 cents.
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about some big data kind of based on your traffic patterns and doing some of that stuff. That's very hard to bootstrap. I'm not sure what the next steps are. A lot of those free apps, they're going to be free for a small period of time. The API calls, we use Google, and once you hit mass and scale, there's a pretty sizable cost to that. So if you're a fan of them, I have all of them on my phone because obviously I try and keep an eye on them. One of them just announced they're charging $5.99 a month from their free model, and every single one of them is gonna turn that way, just because that you can't scale and they can't make money otherwise, especially since there are a lot of options out there. The other piece, I'm trying to think what else you said.
Question on your left.
Well, I guess we'll come back to it.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel tension in the room. Not a place I want to be.
I could never be mad at her.
Agreed. Okay. So I have a question around channel. I like what I hear in terms of the problem you're solving, the solution you have, all that makes sense. But I heard two different things regarding the channel you're looking at. I heard at one point that this fits for the 60 million freelancers out there. You talked about that, you had a slide. And then I heard you say, well, we're looking for corporate 25 plus. That's a different market in my opinion.
For sure.
Exactly where are you trying to go into an early adopter, and what channels are you looking at to get to them? Because that confused me.
Yeah, absolutely. So the freelancer note, and I think part of that is to help push the point that as more and more people become freelancers and start taking this mileage deduction, it's going to become more of a focal point for the IRS. So if you've been sitting back and saying, okay, let me look at my odometer at the end of the year, and I probably drove about 40% of the time, you're going to start getting called out on that. And if you don't have a mileage log, you can kiss that deduction goodbye right off the bat. And it's also a red flag for them to dig deeper into your taxes. So with a solution that's so simple, why take that risk? The freelance market, I think that kind of describes me. I think it's very obvious, but that's not where we're focusing our sales. I think that's more of the passive consumer who kind of finds us. The real strategy is to find those business partners, share the wealth, let them promote us. And it is a great way for us to kind of bypass the other companies that maybe have a larger marketing budget. We can't buy the Google ads and the YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff, be at the top of the SEO search. But if your accountant tells you of a mileage tracking app that you should download and install because it's going to help them, you're going to listen to that expert. So having the expert speak for us instead of an ad, we think is very valuable.
Lance, our final question, how can we as a community help you?
Awesome, yes. So before I answer that, I always like to do thank yous. So first off, Digital Sandbox, thank you very much, huge help. The other person I'd like to thank is Grant Gooding. Even though I joked earlier, he helped me with the presentation, and I don't think he brags as much as he should. I know for a fact that he helped 4 different companies who were in Launch KC with their presentation, and all 4 of those left with $50,000 checks. So if you haven't met Grant, if you're not working with him and having him help your business, I think you're missing a huge opportunity. So thanks, Grant, for helping me out. He only had to pay a little bit for that one. And then how you can help me. So, obviously, check out our website, milesapp.co. It'll send you directly to those store links. So if you can't find it in the Apple Store, can't find it in the Google Play Store, that'll help boost our search results. And ultimately, we need introductions to those strategic partners. If you know anybody in the accounting world who would be interested in providing this to their users, and not just the accounting world, realtors and realtor organizations, construction companies, large companies with large sales teams and business development teams. We've been told the education world could use this. So any introduction to somebody who might have a team that could use this would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lance. And thank you all for joining us this morning, in particular, Michael and Sam and Megan and Andrew. These are all kind folks who have logged into our new 1 Million Cups Kansas City app. So if you haven't gone to the App Store and downloaded this yet, please do. It gives you the ability to see who else is here and also to give feedback to the companies afterwards, which is what they're really here for. We have a few announcements. First, I would like to invite up to the stage Laura Stewart.
We didn't really plan it, but me and a microphone's always dangerous, right? So how many of you know what month it is? October, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month? Yes? Okay, it's also National Pumpkin Seed Day today. How many people in the audience know somebody affected by breast cancer? Yeah, 1 in 8 women are gonna develop breast cancer, and my local company, VideoFizz, is a mobile app that is working on a national campaign with the American Breast Cancer Foundation called Pinking of You. And we are doing it for the entire month. What we normally do is create video greetings for things like birthdays and anniversaries and graduations. But for this month, the app has been donated so that people can record videos that uplift survivors, patients, and families that have been affected by breast cancer. And we've also programmed in the app a little place for people to donate. So think Ice Bucket Challenge, but instead of dumping water, you leave uplifting videos for your friends. Today is also National Do Something Nice Day, so you might want to take advantage of that. We were on TV in Chicago on Monday, Kansas City yesterday, Houston today, Philadelphia Friday, Orlando Tuesday, Vegas Wednesday. We really hope this will be a huge viral campaign that'll raise millions of dollars for the American Breast Cancer Foundation, but I need the support of my city, who has helped us develop our app to this point and get us involved in this national campaign. So if you could please do something nice today, and if you know somebody affected, record a Pinking of You message for them for free. Thanks. That's it. Is that exciting or what?
Great. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, thank you. If you haven't yet, make sure that you grab our announcement sheet in the back. There's a ton of great information on there. One special announcement that did not make it onto the sheet, please forgive me while I read off my phone. Kauffman Foundation and Kauffman Fellows want to invite you to Play for Tomorrow Hackathon, a social innovation hackathon event October 21st to the 23rd right here at the Kauffman Foundation Conference Center. Engage with a diverse group of community stakeholders, entrepreneurs, engineers, scientists, educators, and students to help address social challenges for our youth in Kansas City. Just a little bit more. Play for Tomorrow, a problem-solving initiative, is based on the premise that sports can be a productive vehicle to address the challenges and barriers faced by underserved youth. We welcome your participation and energy contributing to the effort to design solutions for programming to potentially partner with the Urban Youth Academy in 2017. Winning pitches will be provided with mentorship and support through October 2017. If you didn't catch any of that, just go to playfortomorrow.com to learn more. Excellent. Let's have a warm welcome, please, for Chai Ming and Larissa with Pseudo Skull.
Good morning. You're on.
I'm Qiming Wang. I founded Pseudosculpt because we want to prevent concussions. This semester, I also teach a class for seniors at UMKC. It's called the Critical Analysis of Writings on Concussion. Concussion is a serious medical and society issue. The Center of Disease Control estimates that 1% of the US population suffers a concussion or some form of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, every year. For a high school football player, that jumps to 10%. Concussions can cause what they call CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which accelerates brain aging roughly by a factor of 3. Concussion in children retards metabolism and interfere with brain development, and is even more devastating. And our helmet is an active helmet, and the sensor stage has artificial intelligence or AI capabilities. It uses machine learning to detect and recognize a personal signature of those impact-induced head movements that can lead to head injury. And the prediction is also predictive, because the computer does it so fast that the impact force don't even have time to fully materialize. And then it activates a linkage element to dissipate the impact energy, stabilize the neck, so you don't get a concussion. So the next slide shows the sensor stage is over here, and the linkage element is over here. Now, these linkage elements are made of components that slide, so they don't interfere with head movements. And we've built several iterations of these prototypes in our lab, and I tried them on myself. It looks like just regular football equipment. But when these sliding elements are controlled by the microprocessor, and when impact is detected, it freezes, which then creates a rigidity that provides an impedance-matched pathway to direct the impact energy down the shoulder pad, not to your head. So the next slide, it shows 3 traces of how force build up in a helmeted football player. If nothing, if you don't have any intervention, you can have a concussion about 30 to 40 milliseconds after an impact. But our sensor works out here and detects it and decides to launch the countermeasure, and the countermeasure is launched over here, or before the impact force can build up and hurt you. And so we've tested these prototypes in our lab and in the lab of our collaborators at KU and UMKC, and things works. The initial data are very promising. And the KU lab told me the following: swinging dead weights to hit a dummy wearing a helmet, a 60 G force in a helmet, in a dummy wearing a conventional helmet, become a 30 G experience in a dummy wearing pseudogol helmet. And now 20 G is the kind of force that girls, pillow fights and sleeping over, that would experience. So we really hope that with our technology, someday we can significantly reduce concussions.
So my name is Larissa Uretti, and I help with the marketing and sales side of Pseudoskull. So just to talk briefly about our financial goals and where we hope to be. So the Pop Warner Youth League is a very large, like 400,000 strong community. And ideally, in our first year, we believe that we would be able to capture 1% of that, or 4,000 students approximately, right? We've started by reaching out to some of our local FCCJC, for example, which is the football, cheerleading, and football club of Johnson County. And we've begun to build those partnerships so that we can go ahead and capture that initial 1%, right? At roughly $300 or $350 a helmet, I mean, you guys can do the math, right? We're looking at, pretty good profits in that first year. modestly and or ambitiously, depending on how you want to think about it. By year 3, we feel like if we could keep that 10% adoption rate, that we could hit 30% of the market. So we know that there's a need for this. The conversation is out there, and we feel like our solution is very feasible. I want to talk just for a quick moment also about our team. So Dr. Chiming Wang is the neuroscientist. I am the chief director of marketing. We have Aaron Crabb, who is our technical officer, and then we also have Jay Scott, who is some outside counsel. Dream team, obviously, we'd love to add Jamal Charles or anyone else that you might know, part of the Kansas City Chiefs, to connect us, but currently this is who we operate with. So that sort of wraps up our vision. We'd love to open it up for questions to you guys.
But can you draw it?
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are you with respect to having that prototype built, that helmet with the devices that, and I've had the privilege of seeing them present before, so I'm just kind of curious where you are today.
We had some discussions amongst ourselves. Currently, we're earmarked to be able to ship the sensor sometime around June 1st of 2017. And we hope to have the helmet, the active helmet, in time for the 2017 football season.
And is there FDA approval, testing, anything that has to be done for you to make kind of market claims?
That's an excellent question, and it's a question that we've been concerned with ourselves also. I had a recent conversation with an NIH official about a month ago. Since our device isn't anything that proposed to cure a disease, the official suggested to me that it will probably not be classified and under FDA regulation.
Nice job, you guys. That's huge, obviously, if you don't have to go through the FDA process, which is lengthy and costs a few dollars. So what you're doing is fantastic. I wanted to ask a couple questions. I looked at the website a little bit last night, and one of the questions I walked in this morning was, what is your product? Because I didn't see anything about the helmet on the website. I saw a lot of great research. It all looked very wonderful, but just an FYI on that, I walked away and I'm like, I don't know what their product is and who they're selling it to. So this is fantastic. You're talking about this youth league, and what do you say, 400,000 people in that youth league? So you're talking about capturing 1%, 10%. That's always easy to say, if there's $1 billion market out there, all we need is 1%. How do you get to that 1%? How do you get to that 10%?
So I think, to your point about the website, you're absolutely right. We have spent, because we're bootstrapping this and we've been developing, I think that something that a lot of entrepreneurs end up doing is they end up over-promising and under-delivering. And so trying to manage the appropriate expectations about what we can deliver and when we can deliver it. So you're right. Essentially, we're a research technology company that currently is in development to get our sensor into the hands of people. And the website reflects that. Now that we have discussed with our counsel and our technical contacts, we will be updating that to reflect like, hey, this is what we have going on. We're super excited about this. Here's how you can get involved in wearing this sensor. As far as how we want to go about capturing this 1%, it's a great question. I think for me, the approach that I've been taking is building local relationships first. So talking to FCCJC, going to different high schools, getting that data and that proof that yes, this works, people like it, they're willing to wear it, and then once we have sort of those contingency baseline orders essentially, right, or that buy-in, we can go and approach the bigger, Pop Warner League members and say, hey, everyone's doing this, you guys should hop on, help us
Okay, so I'm curious about what the price point is approximately, if you know, and I guess related to that, would it be a better play with like the NFL, which I know is harder to get into, but I'm just thinking from a youth league, depending on what the price point is versus NFL, there's probably a little more buying power, obviously, at the NFL level, or.
I can try that. Currently, high-tech helmets, especially those helmets are equipped with sensors, are used in a number of colleges and NFL. They are priced at somewhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a piece without any extra protection. And we've been looking at our cost structure and so on and so forth. And for children, I believe we can keep the total cost under $500 a helmet, and possibly even lower than that. On the financial slide, we use an example of $350. And we also plan to develop a separate market just for the sensors. So any child riding a bicycle could wear a sensor underneath the helmet, and the parents would know that whether the child out there a couple of hours have experienced any bad falls. And for this operation, everything on the financial slide would still be the same, except the numbers will be roughly half because sensor by itself is a little bit cheaper.
One final question, and what you're doing, by the way, is awesome. Concussions are such a huge issue from the little kid to obviously professional level, and we see what's happening with some older NFL players now. I don't know if you're at this point with research, but do you have any data that says, using this helmet, this sensor reduces concussions by X amount versus using a regular helmet?
Okay, that data is sort of out there and not out there. So for example, there are data that's been published in sports medicine journals to give you the relationship between the probability of concussion versus impact force. And that relationship is not a linear relationship, but somewhat of a delta function. And the question that you ask is that if we can, with pseudocode technology, cut down the impact force by 30 G and shift the whole curve towards the origin by 30 G, what would be the reduction of the concussion risk in an average population? Now that data is not out there, but we've done our own figuring. We believe it is feasible to reduce significantly, if not eliminate, concussions in children's sports because they don't hit that hard to start with. But for people who hit harder, NFL college level, we would shoot for 50% reduction.
I think that kind of answers the NFL question a bit too. Plus, the children's market is wide open. I think there's been a lot of focus on NFL players and how do we stop it? But I mean, ultimately, if you can stop that problem before it starts, right, in the youth market, and you can get a hold of the parents who can help cultivate that culture in the family of, you want to go out and play these sports, you want to learn, teamwork and grit and all of the valuable things that football and interactive sports bring, but let's do it in a way that is going to protect your brain early on. Like if you can stop that damage earlier, by the time a player is 35 and has had 15 concussions, like it's almost too late, right? Is our argument. So not only is the market open and ripe for it, but we want to be preventative, I think.
I also want to add that there is a high-tech company called Vices based out in Seattle and University of Washington. And they also make high-tech helmets without sensors, but with special material and padding. And they are basically a $10 million company, or I should say that they have raised funds up to $10 million. And in their claim, they claim that they hope to reduce concussion by 20%.
Thank you both. Thank you, experts. It's your opportunity to ask a question. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Right here in the middle.
I'm sure there's lots of people that walk into the NFL and say, hey, we got the next best helmet. A lot of people don't think of, though, a motorcycle helmet has to have that DOT sticker on the back of it or you get a ticket. So it may be easier to get the DOT to approve a safety helmet for motorcycles than if you had that safety sticker, then you could approach Pop Warner, the NFL, or anybody else. Have you thought about motorcycles?
We have. We've definitely gone down that path, and I think that just as we look at this, expanding into other markets. Now, the motorcycle helmet industry has a lot of innovation sort of in this area already. And so for us, it would be a lot to bite off immediately to say, how can we immediately approve that? Now, I like to your point about the DOT, luckily for us, because as Chiming said, we're not trying to cure a disease, we don't have to have some of those same sticker regulations that they go through. But yeah, that's a valid point, and we've definitely considered other sports and other arenas, and motocross, bike cycling, all that stuff is open.
Question here in the center.
Love the product. Have you had any conversations with health insurance companies and regarding the potential to maybe offset the cost of the helmet through discount to premiums?
That's a great idea.
Good question. We actually have some associates who may have some useful connections with the insurance industry. In one of my most recent conversations with this particular individual, the requirement is that we give him a first draft of a technical paper that describes the helmet as well as the sensor, which in the process we're actually writing. And I want to tell some of the audience here that we received great and valuable help from 2 high school interns this past summer who made quite a bit of contribution toward that manuscript.
Question in the middle in the back here.
Hey, so do those connections that go from the helmet to the pads, is that an integral part of the solution? Is that always going to be there? And then what other side effects might that have in the game, as being things to be bent or grabbed or whatever? And it seems that also, face mask protection would be for someone being yanked around, that would be helpful there, but I don't know what other problems it might cause.
That's a barrier that we have to overcome. I believe a potential solution would be simply treat the linkage elements as part of the face masks or face mask rules, yeah.
Question.
In other words, when you play football, you're not supposed to grab at somebody else's linkage elements because, it can really cause some severe injury exactly the same way when you grab somebody's face mask.
Thank you, Chi-Ming. Very, very interesting, and I think you and Larissa maybe are shortchanging yourself. The youth league with Pee Wee and Pop Warner probably is over 3 million in this country today. But from the point that you had made before about FDA, if you are actually going to, excuse me, claim that there's some prevention of force, which ultimately would prevent the development of CTE with cumulative repetitive concussions, that clearly would involve the FDA. So if you avoid making that claim, you probably would not trigger FDA from a device perspective. And the question that I have is, are these sensors able to actually anticipate force in the absence of a helmet? Could you conceive of something that you could have around the neck that would not involve a helmet? Because then it opens up a whole other market. 30+ million people playing soccer in this country. Right. 265 million playing soccer around the world.
Our initial round of these is actually going to be more to your point, more like a headband, let's say, right? You know, something that does not require that helmet to be worn and to start gathering that baseline of beta testers and data. So yes, that's integral to our initial data gathering, and also just the wearability factor and keeping that product design flexible. So it will exist outside of the helmet. And then, as we develop, I think how we integrate that is going to be, it's going to be interesting, because we have a lot of different ideas about how it can physically fit into that helmet design. But clearly that's sort of next stage for us.
Question in the back to the left.
Hello. Speaking as a parent for my son that's had 3 concussions playing football, it seems like this is more directed towards teams and leagues and things of that nature, but what about those individuals who have had a kid that's experienced that, and rather the football team decides to, to take that on as a team? What about parents that want to maybe buy one for their kid? Is it something that's going to have to be approved by a team, by a school, in order for our kids to be safe if we want to spend, let's say, $300+ for a helmet?
So
to me, it's a no-brainer.
That's a great question, and our initial, the initial offering that we will be making will be open to the public. So we will have information on our website to be able to get up there. You can make a purchase, get on the list, and then we will happily send you a sensor that you can put on every kid in your household and yourself and wherever you want, and help us start gathering that data, and also learning, kind of what forces your kids are seeing, and all of that. So it will be available to the public. We are not only limiting ourselves to that team requirement, right? So the school doesn't have to onboard it before your child could wear it.
Question here in the center.
I wondered whether you've thought about this for the military, because, obviously it would add that protection that they would need, but there would be some large funding there for you.
Go for it, yeah. Yes, absolutely. The military is very interesting to us, and they have done a ton with these exoskeletons and this very powerful protection system. I believe Chiming has had conversations with people to start looking at the Department of Defense. Actually, after the Launch KC event that we were at, a lady came up to us and was really excited about this, and she had been with the military, and her husband was part of it, and she had promised to follow up with us, and so far we've kept that line of communication open with her, just trying to see how we could start having that conversation with people in that industry. So
I wanted to add that the marketing dimension of this project is simply very complicated. So, for example, we have to deal with marketing the sensor versus marketing the sensor plus a helmet. We have to deal with issues of marketing the helmet toward children or adults as well. And we have to deal with the dimension of whether we go into other sports like cycling, snow sports, or military application, and so on and so forth. But these all represent future potentials that the challenge of which we are welcome.
Question in the back to the right here.
I think you just kind of answered some of what I was going to ask you, because I know we had some private discussion on that, but I think in my mind, you market the sensor first. I think you all had some discussion about if a child took a hit and it could dial the parent's cell phone and tell them, hey, they experienced a 6G incident, kid needs to be pulled out of the football game. I think if you market that first and build that up, and then you can build some money with that pretty reasonably, not $350, maybe much less expensive. But I think you were kind of answering that before, so.
It's a good observation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's been a great guy to bounce some ideas off of, and has been very supportive of us throughout this. So yeah, it's a good point. And to Chiming's point, the marketing, we have to pick one, right? And so we have started with the need that we see in the youth football league, because it is obvious and people care deeply about football and about getting their kids involved in it, and we feel like that's a good place to start gaining some attention, and then absolutely keeping the opportunities open for other markets.
Question in the center.
Great presentation. Okay, you mentioned your competition, that there's other people working on this type of product. You said June of next year is your goal. What is your time frame compared to your competition? I mean, if somebody comes out with this, you would think that because of the concussion issues, everybody's going to want to get the first thing that comes out. So compared to your competition, is there anybody that's going to come out before you, and is there any way you can speed up your time frame to get in front of them?
That's a nightmare that I'm having every day. We don't own the technology, and anyone else can come over and eat our lunch at any time. So we are aware of that, and I think I've been in research for almost all of my career. The only way to stay ahead is to keep going as fast as you can with your own research. And you cannot stop other people from developing the same technology. You can only run faster so that they cannot catch you. So for example, in our technology on the sensor, our sensor technology is not a single threshold technology. So you all have heard Checklight, right? Checklight is a company out in Boston, have people, MIT, Harvard working with them. But it's a single threshold detector. Namely, you put it on somebody's head, and when the impact exceeds the threshold, the light will come on. Okay, it's not adaptive. Now, I told you pillow fights, girls sleeping over is 20 G, right? They're not hurt. But the same 20 G for a toddler, you could kill that toddler. So our adaptive technology, I think, so far, thank God, no one has this far. And we have patents and so on and so forth to try to protect ourselves a little bit. But we are under no illusion that we can stand still and be safe. We have to work.
Question in the middle here.
You discussed your challenges with marketing. I wonder if you've given any thought to licensing this product to helmet manufacturers, because that would seem like a way to get it to market a lot faster.
Other companies have tried that, and it's gone miserably for them. And development has sort of stopped. And I think for where we are right now, to Chiming's point, if we can keep going with our own research and figuring out, like, let's get this thing to work, let's prove that we have baseline adoption, then maybe we can go have that conversation. But, I mean, there isn't a solution on the market right now, and we are not the first people to try and solve this problem, using these sorts of different tools and methods. So, and the fact that there isn't the answer out there already, I think, is indicative of how well it's gone for some of those places to try and, go to the Rydell's and like ask them to, put this in every helmet that they make or whatever it is. So hopefully we'll have the answer. I mean, that would be amazing if we were the one to disrupt that industry like that. But I think we just kind of need to, I think our goal is to focus on our own development first.
Last audience question
Thank
from
you,
the center
Larissa.
here.
Was that good?
Okay, some quick context before I'm right here, before I go into this. My daughter is at Vanderbilt and doing very well, but when she was in high school as a freshman, suffered a severe concussion from soccer, actually 2 in a row, in bed, 6 weeks, no lights, no TV, no phone, no music, no nothing. Lost her ability to add and subtract, lost her ability to recognize friends, lost her ability to do anything, and she slept the whole time. So context, okay? I think that, and she's had to go through a lot of testing, even at Vanderbilt. They did brain testing on her. She's doing fine, but she did lose some capacity. We see it on the tests. So we have spent thousands and thousands of dollars from this simple appearing soccer injury that she kept playing the game. She got hit in the head and kept playing the game because her coaches didn't recognize it. I think that if somebody beats you to market somehow in the football helmet arena, which maybe that would happen, you go after that soccer arena, because I know so many parents of kids who have similar injuries, and I have it well documented. And I think that that soccer arena is so untouched, and if we could find something, because I see the permanent brain damage of my child. Luckily, she's doing great in college, but it is on the we see it, okay? So
Definitely come up and talk to us at the end and let's connect, because that's,
okay.
we love hearing, I mean, we hate hearing stories like that, but we love hearing stories like that because it shows, you know, it just helps motivate us that we know we're pursuing the right thing, and it sounds like you have a lot of information, so.
Thank you.
All right, so the last question, the question that we always end with, what can we as a community do to help you?
Every morning when I wake up, I thank God for giving us this opportunity to possibly develop some insanely good products. But I have also heard that to make a lot of mistakes and expect success is insane. So my plea to all of you at Kansas City is, tell us what we're doing wrong and keep us from going insane. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so next week we have Missouri Business Alert and Pear Deck. We'll see then. I have one last announcement.
Zach.
Jeff has one last announcement, and then I have one last announcement. Go, Jeff.
Well, Laura mentioned every national day that it is today. There's one more. This is a national tell the rest of the world how great Kansas City is day. It should be every day for you guys. Those of you that were here last week, this will sound like a repeat. Here's my homework assignment for all of you. Tell folks in another city two things. I Verify started in 2012 by taking technology out of UMKC and commercializing it, and was just acquired for $100 million by Alibaba. The first investment they've made in this country was made in Kansas City. Second one, Bats was started in North Kansas City and was just sold for $3.2 billion with a B dollars. So nobody ain't got anything that we don't have here to start a business, grow a business, and find a successful exit or run this business for years to come. That it's national, tell the rest of the world, we're gonna kick your ass day, okay?
Woo! Round of applause for that. Jeff, I think you're a new honorary member of the team now after that. That was fantastic. And I also, just based on those two companies, it seems like maybe we're a financial technology town. I don't know. Crazy. Maybe I work for Bloom. So I get to say that, right? We're bragging. All right. So today I am actually just going to do another shameless plug for myself. I'm going to be moderating a panel over at UMKC for what students should be doing in school if they want to get involved in entrepreneurship and if they want to work in startups straight out of school. So I'll be moderating. It'll be Chris Costello, the CEO of Bloom. It'll also be Katie Booty, the CEO and founder, co-founder, however you want to say it, of Lean Lab. And then John Fine, who's the general manager of Firebrand Ventures. So it should be really interesting, really fun. Come on out. It's at 5:30 at UMKC. Free pizza, and go kick the world's ass. Thanks, everybody.